like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it take a swim, only option is to win. In the murky water, not a thought of giving in. I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it take a swim, only option is to win. In the murky water, not a thought of giving in. Welcome to the shrimp tank. Want to put it all together, this is big things. Doing big things, chasing big dreams. Yeah, it's all real, this life's all that it seems. All the chicks scream, all the dudes yell. This is just what I do and I do it well. With the flow fresher than the new shoe smell. Going through hell, well homie keep going. You know the saying, you gon' reap what you sow in. So I don't chase girls, I just chase dreams. Play the same game, but we ain't in the same league. Running a campaign, Roby 2016. Like a phone to die, putting me in charge. I'm a general, from the front I'ma lead the charge. Like a federal, fell on my lap never. Going hard as ever.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank, powered by Celsius Beverage. This is your first time tuning in. You catch all these amazing episodes up on our website, shrimptankpodcast.com. This is the podcast where we get to interview local entrepreneurs, find the do's and don'ts of running a business. Now over 275 past guests, so definitely connect with them on LinkedIn, Instagram, pick their brain how they're running their business, because not every day do you get that chance to do one-on-one meetings with these folks. We put them on the Owl app, and you can chat with them about today's episode. So before we get into today's guest, I'm going to bring in my co-host, Dr. Roland Kidwell, who's got a lot of things to show our audience if you're watching live. He printed out some cool brochures because I have a feeling FAU is climbing up the rankings. So,
well, we're doing that, but actually this is just basically to advertise the business pitch competition. Unprecedented business pitch competition. Next Wednesday, no, 2 Wednesdays, 2 weeks from today, March 27th. There will be the student pitch competition, our veterans program pitch competition, a Spanish language pitch competition, and a youth competition with 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders pitching their business ideas. And so there's that going on in 2 weeks. And then the day after that, there is a big innovation award celebration at a tech runway incubator accelerator. And if anybody wants to sponsor, zoom in. You can see you can't zoom in. But if you would like to sponsor this event, there's the information. Just call 561-297-3653, 561-297-3653.
go to your website.
Whatever. You can go to the Adams Center website too. Yeah.
That's a little easier.
So there's that. But anyway, so we're excited about this because this is something that we have not done before in terms of the numbers of people at the pitch, the different categories, but also this awards event. And you can come to the awards event. There you can go online and sign up for that as well. So check out the Adams Center website, FAU Adams Center, for more information.
I will be there.
All right.
So will our team. It's going to be an exciting night because it's over at the FAU Tech Runway, right by, where you see all these planes landing all the time. And they have a cool little center over there. Often people don't know what's on the other side, but cement floors and just this open arena where you see people, focusing on their startups. I was part of the FAU Tech Runway with the Owl app, and it's really cool over there to see the inside and just network with all these folks. You have startup founders there, you have professors there, but additionally, you have all these other entrepreneurs that, have gone through so much to scale their businesses that come back, right? I think they're on 10. Are they on 10 years now?
Yeah,
FAU Tech Runway?
Plus, I think, I believe.
So hundreds of entrepreneurs, and a lot of them have raised large sums of capital and had some large exits. And it's just exciting to shake hands with those folks and connect. So let's get into our guest today. Anthony is joining us on the show. He's co-founder at Grill Rescue, e-commerce business who has scaled quite quickly through multiple channels, specifically Amazon, of course. See a lot of sales happening there. And also he was on elevator pitch. So this guy knows how to pitch, talking about pitch competitions, right? So Anthony, welcome to the Shrimp Tank. Tell our audience a little bit about who you are and your current company.
Sure. Thank you for having me. So yeah, my name's Anthony. My current company is called Rescue. So we make a few different products. One is a grill brush that uses steam to clean. So typically with a grill brush, you'll have these metal wire bristles. They can fall off, land on the grates. If you end up cooking a burger and a piece of that gets in the food, you can end up swallowing it and end up in the emergency room, which is not great. So ours uses steam to clean. So you dunk this thing in water, get the grill hot, and then water plus heat equals steam. It's that simple.
I like simple. So
yeah.
I'm already going to purchase this thing.
And then we just launched another, it's a kitchen sponge. It's called Forever Sponge. So the idea is it lasts forever. It's cut resistant, antimicrobial. So this thing, when eventually like it gets worn down and dirty, you throw it in the dishwasher or washing machine, and it's ready to go again.
You're going after the scrub daddy, huh?
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, of course. Like, that's one of Shark Tank's, biggest brands that have come out of it, right? I don't know what they're doing in sales today, but I love those Scrub Daddy. So it's awesome to hear that there's a new brand.
Yeah. So
You know,
Scrub
that-
Daddy is in the 9 figures at this point.
Sure.
So yeah, they've done really well for themselves.
And you started this by just inventing something for your own use.
Correct.
Tell us that story.
Sure. So my co-founder Scott was over for a dinner one day at my house, and he sees this terrible prototype that I made. I mean, this thing's made out of a block of wood, another handle from another grill brush, kind of just all kind of glued and screwed together. And he's like, "What is this thing that you're using to clean up after we were done grilling?" And I kind of explained it to him, and I showed him how it worked, and he loved it. So he's like, "We have to take this thing to market." I'm like, "Well, you're super busy. I'm super busy. We have our own lives going on, our own businesses to run. So like, maybe now's not the time." He's like, "No, we have to do this. We have to do this." So eventually he convinced me. He's like, "Look, if you do the marketing, I'll figure out the logistics and the development of the whole thing," because he was a product developer. And he brought it to life. And once I saw it, I was like, "Yeah, we have to bring this to market." So we actually launched on Kickstarter just to see if it was a good idea, because we have, a lot of friends and family. Some are like, "Yeah, whatever," but it's hard to trust them. And a lot of people are like, "This will never work. This is a horrible idea. You don't want to make this." So, you have your doubts. So we put it on Kickstarter. It was a 30-day campaign, and we raised a little over 200 grand. So we're like, okay, there might be something here.
Okay, cool. And then what did you do? Set up a website to
Yeah. After
sell?
that, we set up a website. Started trying to figure out how to fulfill all these Kickstarter orders, because we designed a product that we didn't have to sell. So we had to figure out how to actually make this thing. How do we ship it? What's the best way to do all this? There was a ton to figure out after that.
And what year was this?
This was 2019.
So quite quickly.
Yeah.
You got to figure out how to scale.
Yeah. It was tough for the first probably 2 years. We kept running out of product because we were running, once I had momentum, I didn't want to
Good
stop.
problem. Most people can't figure out how to sell the product.
Yeah.
What was the hardest thing that first year that you went through?
The hardest thing was getting enough of them. So
Really?
yeah. So my partner, Scott, he was like, "Hey, you got to slow down," because as soon as I had momentum, I didn't want to stop. So I started running Facebook ads, Instagram ads. I just went hard on everything. Pinterest. We tried every platform.
And where was it selling best the first year?
Definitely Facebook ads.
And where is it today selling best?
Definitely Facebook ads.
Are you doing a lot on Amazon? I know a lot of people don't like Amazon.
Yeah,
Right?
no, we do probably, we're getting closer to 50-50 Amazon, Shopify.
Okay.
So Amazon is slowly starting to take over.
And do you have any competitors currently? Or yours just such a
No, we have competitors.
patent type product that no one could rip it. Everything gets ripped off eventually, right? Eventually, even though it has a patent, China starts producing stuff, and then you start fighting them that you have a patent, of course. But tell us about your competition.
Sure. So kind of talking about knockoffs for a minute. We had in the first year 16,000 knockoffs. So we had to figure out that problem. And then eventually we started another company called Black Market Share. So now not only did we solve this problem for us, we had other people reaching out, "Hey, we need to help solve this problem." So we started doing this for other companies as well. So we've developed a whole company out of just taking down knockoffs.
So do you have a patent for this, or just
So yeah, on Grill Rescue, we have, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but 5 or 6 patents.
okay?
It doesn't stop anyone,
No.
So patents are great and you have to have them, but it just becomes a legal battle at that point.
Mhm.
So they can still do whatever they want. It's up to us to defend that patent,
Sure. Yeah.
which is a whole nother problem in itself. So we
And the
do
amount of
have
money, and the amount of money. Lawyers
Yeah.
are very
Well,
expensive.
200,000 went quick, didn't it?
It's
Yeah,
hard.
absolutely. Yeah. So we didn't want to get, a ton of lawyers involved at first because it's very expensive. So we tried to figure out how to do it ourselves. Luckily, we were very successful in doing so. But there are a few that still remain. There are a few large companies like Scrub Daddy who have knocked us off, which might give you a hint on why we're making kitchen sponges. But yeah.
Very interesting.
Mhm.
Very interesting. Let's go back to your original entrepreneurship days, right? Because this is just 2019, right? Were you always an entrepreneur, when you were a young child? Did you one day, go to a 9 to 5 and say, "This isn't for me," and then swing over to becoming an entrepreneur? Kind of tell us the backstory.
Yeah, so I think there was always a piece of me that wanted to work for myself. I don't know if I knew what that meant when I was young, I knew school wasn't for me, which is odd because we're doing this podcast in a school. So never attended college, couldn't wait to get out of high school. But I did. I went to a regular job. Out of high school, actually in high school, I had 3 different jobs. So I was always working. I was fixing computers, fixing phones like that. I worked for Apple. And eventually, I started my first real, I shouldn't even say real business because it wasn't. I was 16 years old. And do you remember those Power Balance wristbands?
Mhm.
So I made some that said I'm gullible on it because we all know it's bullshit. So I created those and I probably sold 4 of them to my mom, my grandma, and someone I worked with. So just a horrible failure. I tried to do that for a couple of years and it was just terrible. So there was a bunch of those over and over and over until something finally hit. So I started an online business where I would help other people get EIN numbers and state resale certificates to start their business. And that was the first thing that I did. I had just bought a house at the time, so I was just completely house poor. I had no money. I took about, I think my last $100 and put it into Google Ads. And I was like, all right, when I wake up tomorrow, hopefully I will have some sales. And thankfully, when I woke up, there was, 1 or 2 transactions. And I was like, let's see if we can push this out till the next day. And it just kind of took off from there.
That is the coolest thing with websites and just Google ads and Facebook ads is like you could just, go ahead and do that, go to bed, and then wake up and that feeling of like there's a lead. Like I have some websites that get leads, and it's just such a unique feeling, to see it trickling in, and especially with sales, right?
Yeah.
That first one, like you're like, oh my God, someone bought my product.
Somebody cares.
Or like someone cares out there. We don't know where they are. They're just on the internet. I mean, yes, you can track down where they are, but you know what I mean, right? It's just like that feeling. What was it like when you got that first sale for Grill Rescue, where you saw it come in?
Yeah, for Grill Rescue, it was so we launched that one on Kickstarter. For the first probably 6 or 7 hours, we were just glued to the screen, just big fat 0. And we were just waiting until something finally happens. And once one came in, we're like, okay, we have something. But it's not like you throw your product up and it just starts happening. You have to start advertising, even on a crowdfunding platform. You need to throw some money into ads to actually get that back. So we were spending quite a bit of money and seeing nothing in return. So we were just stressed. I'm like, we got to go for a run. We got to go for a workout. We have to do something to take our mind off of this because we were just super stressed out. And eventually, when those sales started rolling in, you could just kind of, take a breath and relax a little bit.
It's so common that people build an amazing product and expect just the sales to trickle in, and it just doesn't happen, especially today. There's just so much saturation in the world. Like 100 million podcasts, right? Everyone's got a social media account, and now they have 5 social media accounts, and you can't just post anymore and typically build it naturally. Like some people can pull it off, but 99% of people can't, right? So you have to have an amazing go-to-market strategy. And Roland speaks about this all in his classes with FAU students, and also when people go get their MBA. Roland, can you speak about the go-to-market strategy for a moment and how important that is? Because I think that's where people are failing the most. It's not that they can't develop a cool product. It's just like they don't think about the bigger.
They don't
picture.
think about customer validation.
Yes.
They don't think about distribution. They don't think about the value proposition. Why do I need this? What problem am I solving? That sort of thing. So, and then on the other side of it, they don't think about how much it costs to make. They don't think about who their suppliers might be. They don't think about who their partners might be. And then they don't think about perhaps how to price this, how to make this get a little bit more in price than it is in cost. I mean, you got that model where you're looking at all these different elements in terms of a business canvas. But I just wanted to just, after summarizing that, just want to kind of ask you, what was one of those did you forget early on? What one did you really not understand as well as some of the others?
I think all of them.
Started?
Yeah. So with Grill Rescue being my first successful product, I've tried to launch products before, but they weren't successful.
But you were doing services for the other.
I was doing online services, but I started dipping my toes into products. So I tried an electric skateboard. I tried a bunch of things, but obviously I missed the mark on all of that because none of them took off. So with Grill Rescue, we did as best of a job as we could, but yeah, we still missed the mark on the whole strategy. We knew we were going to launch on Kickstarter, but that was kind of it. We didn't even know if the market would like it. We didn't know if it was a good product. The price was way too cheap when we launched. So we basically, all that money went back into manufacturing and product, we didn't get to keep any of it.
Mhm.
So all of that went right back, because I think on Kickstarter we priced it at like $20. So after we made it, after we spent all the ads, there was no money left.
Mhm.
So yeah, to answer your
Well,
question,
did you have a plan? I mean, did you feel like you had a plan?
we had a plan just to get launched on Kickstarter.
Okay.
We didn't think after that, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, this might not even work.
Yeah.
Why waste all the time on it? Which is a horrible way to think about it. But yeah, we didn't think it would be what it was.
Well, you hit.
Yes.
That's the key.
Yes, it
You
did.
found something that hit without doing a lot of the prep work.
Yeah. Yeah. My strategy is always like, take the money first and then figure it out. So we launched, we got the money, and it's like, okay, now we have to actually be cautious about how we spend this and how we do this, because we've obviously made a ton of mistakes. It was too cheap. We spent too much, and we had to kind of figure it out all on the back end. But at least I knew people liked it. So that was huge for us.
But also from this experience, you found another business.
Yes, true.
Okay, which is the black market
Correct. Black market share.
Then you're talking about going into a third business, or maybe more, but the one that you talk a little bit about, or could talk a little bit about, is this business where you're looking to buy businesses as the owners get near retirement age, where you might see. So where did you come up with that one? And if you had any kind of nibbles on it?
Yeah, so there's a ton of people, the baby boomer generation is done working, at kind of in where we are right now in our day and age.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, but there's a lot of them that are looking to retire. What are we going to do with all those businesses? They're either going to close their doors. So like my father just shut his doors. He didn't know that he could sell. He didn't know how to sell. There was no plan, and it was just like, okay, I had a business. We had a good run. It's over.
What business did he?
He had a local sign shop. He probably made all the signs for this building.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he just you weren't interested in continuing it as the second generation?
I was, but I'm kind of glad that it didn't happen, because I don't think I'd be where I was if I had taken over that business. So I'm kind of glad that I kind of went on my own path. But yeah, so I was thinking like, hey, if he did that, certainly tons of other people did the same thing. So what would that look like if you could kind of scoop them up for a huge discount and then just run them? I think there's a lot of new age ideas that somebody younger like me might have that some of the older generation wouldn't even think to do, or maybe they're set in their ways or what have you. So I think there's a lot of value I could add to these existing businesses to just make them grow so much faster.
Is the idea that you would buy the whole business, or would you come in and take a share and then you develop that while they're still there? How would that work, do you think?
I guess it depends on what they're looking to do. Ideally, I would take over the business, pay them a salary, and then have them train somebody to kind of learn the whole thing. And then, hey, take the rest of your money and go.
Because you don't want to lose that expertise, even
correct.
if you do have.
I still want the business to run.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're going to run the business for you or with you.
Yeah, maybe they have a couple years till they retire, so I could use them for a couple years. They'll end up training someone to take over, and then we can implement a ton of stuff.
There's huge numbers of family businesses, for example, that are going to be facing succession, but relatively few have a plan.
Yep.
Right. So this is a way to get at that.
Yeah.
And to keep those businesses going, but also for them to transition, because a lot of your family businesses, as they get to this retirement age, they want to sell the business because that is their retirement.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's their retirement fund.
I think about my my mechanic. I love him. I wouldn't trust anyone else to work on my car. But he's getting older. He wants to retire. So what's he going to do with it?
So is this where you're getting these ideas? Like,
yeah, I'm starting to see what's happening.
Okay.
And I think like if they don't sell, or they don't know that that's even an option, they're just going to shut it down, and then no one's going to. Everybody who trusts the mechanic, shout out to Dan's Auto Repair, nobody's gonna get their car serviced by a trustworthy almost friend at this point.
But you're not going to get traction with Google ads and Kickstarter and Facebook ads with this. How are you going to market this? Are you going to go door to door? What's your thinking there?
I think there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of sites that you can go on to just look for businesses for sale. And you can even filter by people looking.
These are already be for sale.
Correct.
You don't want to convince anybody to do it yet.
I think there's a lot of ways that you could convince people who don't know that it's even an option. I mean, even like really old tactics, like take out a billboard, or like really things that don't work for a lot of like, e-com business, which is the world that I'm from, putting posters up around town. Someone's going to see it and drive by and be like, yeah, I do want to sell it. Yeah, I am tired of my job.
Okay. Yeah.
Very simple things that don't cost a ton of money could get a lot of leads in just locally, on a very local level.
And that's where you want to keep this right now, I think.
Yeah, I would keep it in like, the Broward County area where we are.
Okay. Because your current businesses are all over the world, I assume.
Yeah, we could sell anywhere online.
Right.
Let's get back to the current business, because that's what I think our audience really wants to dive deeper in, right? We don't see often, someone starting a business in 2019 and now it's just 2024, and just seeing the revenue that you have, hiring the amount of employees you've done, getting on shows like Elevator Pitch, for example. So let's talk about like that big aha moment that you had, right? Obviously the first one's Kickstarter, right? Yep. Getting 200,000, but after that, like what was that big shift from going from 5,000 revenue, maybe to $1 million of revenue? And I don't know what revenue you're at approximately, if you're allowed to share with our audience.
Yeah, I can share.
Kind of tell us what you're at today and approximately how many staff. And then, what was that moment where it really took a shift?
Sure. Staff wise, between the two companies, we're probably around low 20s as far as employees. We have a office here in Boca Raton. There's about 7 of us here, and then the rest are virtual. So all over the world. Revenue wise, last year, 2023, we did 21.4 million. And the aha moment was basically after Kickstarter. Once we launched, that was like nothing compared to what would just happen. So we launched on Kickstarter in June of 2019. I probably started my first Facebook ad October. From October to December, we did 3 million. We had no product in stock. We had nothing to ship, and we got our Facebook account banned right away because surveys were going out, and everyone had bad things to say because they never got to use it.
Gotcha. Because they're like, we didn't get the product. It's a scam.
Exactly. 100%.
Facebook catches that, like something's going on.
Yeah.
Right.
We were selling way too much of something we didn't have.
Yeah. How did you fix that problem? And how long did it take to fix?
So that became Scott's problem because he's a logistics guy. So it took a long time. It was probably almost another year to recover. So we would just started shipping things air freight, getting it manufactured and shipping it via air. So obviously shipping sea is far cheaper. Once we started shipping product over air, we were just, losing a ton on freight, but we had to make it up. We had to make it right. We had to get, customers happy again.
Were they leaving negative reviews everywhere?
Oh, everywhere.
So how did you come back from that? Because a lot of brands can't, because a lot of times, like for every 100 positive reviews, you get like 3 to 5 negative ones, no matter what product you are today.
Yeah.
Practically like people are making fun of like McDonald's. It's like, come on, like who's going out of their way to like put a negative review about a McDonald's?
Yeah.
Like we know what the brand is all about, but it's like somehow like someone's out there and be like, they're upset, and people get upset so quickly today.
Yeah.
On a mobile app, and like people are complaining, like I give them a $10 bonus, and they're like, they gave me a $10 bonus. It's a tactic to make me use the app. I'm like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Literally, someone wrote that.
That's crazy.
But it's just nuts out there, giving stuff away for free sometimes. And in your world, it's like, that's a lot of negative press from that many people who didn't get their order in those early days.
Yeah.
You didn't see it coming. You didn't have that throttle of like, we're sold out, which is sometimes, then the wait list, like, you see this with like Nikes, for example.
Yeah.
Right. But you didn't know that. Right. And you didn't have that stop, on your website.
Yeah. So in our case, the customers were 100% right. They had every reason to be upset. But fortunately, we make a really good product. So once that thing did arrive, they used it. I think we won a lot of hearts over once it arrived. And then we started changing a lot of strategy. We started to implement better business tactics in order to make sure that this doesn't happen again. We have, in the next few years, we sold out a ton of times even after that. But we approached it much better. I think it got better every time.
I love that answer. Because running Owl App, like I had to do everything as a founder to reach out to those people. And sometimes it could work to your benefit, because then you have an upset customer that you can make happy, and then a super fan. And we see this all the time with platforms and marketplaces when the CEO reaches out, or the founder, and just says, hey, look, I'm human. We made a mistake. This is what occurred. And people just want to get that communication versus ignoring the problem. And the brands that don't do well ignore the problem, and they can never recover. And brands like yours and Owl can just being human, just saying,
well,
hey,
Tony, did you actually reach out yourself, or did you just put the product out there and that's what told the story for you.
Yeah, we put the
Did
product
you-
out. We had a ton of responses, tons of negative responses, and it was just my business partner and I.
So
So
did you just put like a response to the review, or did you actually have this contact with people that were complaining?
yeah,
yourself?
we know we had contact. Obviously, there was tons of reviews to respond to, but there was thousands of incoming emails. And we didn't have any formal customer service set up at the time. It was just Scott and I. So we had thousands of emails in our inbox. Just like a Gmail account, trying to respond to these people. So it was Scott and I staying up for 24 hours on end, trying to respond, get some sleep when we can. I had my wife helping, his wife was helping just to respond to it's coming, here's your tracking, doing everything we can to try to make people happy. We didn't have any employees at the time. We couldn't afford them at the time. So it was just all kind of us just putting in a ton of man hours.
So the product being so good that was the survival mechanism.
Yeah,
really.
thankfully
It
we made a
got into
good
their
product.
hands.
Yeah.
Where
The
did you have it
problem-
made?
It's overseas. Yeah, everything we make is overseas. We have assembly we have a warehouse in Wisconsin, so some stuff is assembled there, but as far as like the parts and everything, it's made overseas.
Where in China, Vietnam?
Yeah, China.
Okay. Did you have to connect with a supplier over there and
Oh, yeah.
see is the future there, or are you going to continue there, or are you going to look at other places?
So trying to make something here right now is just incredibly expensive.
I mean, even going to Vietnam or something.
Oh yeah, no, we have like our packaging is made in other countries. We have India, Vietnam, China. There's a ton of different places that make different products of ours.
Okay.
But it's all kind of in the same region.
And they were not really letting you down as much as you were overselling.
Yeah.
Like that old Super Bowl ad where they see the thing ticking.
Yeah.
Numbers they're selling. Oh, good. We got one. Oh, we got two. Oh, we got 9 million. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So they see that playing out.
Yeah. They couldn't make them fast enough. We were just selling far too many of them. And once it was out, there was no stopping it.
Okay, well, we're going to take a quick commercial break to hear from one of our sponsors. Then when we get back, we're going to jump into our What's Hot segment of the show.
Join the fastest growing community of professionals on the internet with OWL. Access new networks and otherwise unreachable professional contacts through the one-on-one call feature on the app. Scroll through the list of available professionals and join them for a quick call to build rich connections, expand invaluable relationships, and to broaden your professional landscape without needing lofty referrals. OWL. We bring vetted pros to your doorstep 24/7 on demand. Join our community by signing up at owl.com today.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Shrimp Tank. That was the Owl App commercial. Reminder that you could call all of our past guests one-on-one through the platform. They have to get to 10 calls. That's a little secret before they get alter their price to charge what they would like. So if you want to pick Anthony's brain next week, at some moment, he'll make himself available. 30 minutes or so. Most of our guests give us that amount of time on the platform and chat with him, pick his brain about how he's expanded his brand or anything about today's episode. So Anthony, on this segment, it's called What's Hot. We're going to jump into a topic and go into detail why you think certain things are hot based on the question. So let's talk about marketing for a moment, because I believe most brands really fail because of bad marketing, right? And everyone says the same thing. Like every business plan's like Facebook ads, Google ads, sell on Amazon, right? Use Shopify, Pinterest, right? It's like these are the obvious things. But I'm a believer is like you got to get more detailed, right? With OWL, we have 50 plus brand ambassadors. And I come up with a unique concept to really not pay them up front, right? Pay them on a back end way to form our community to what it is today. So what is the hottest way you would say to market a brand, let's say in your similar space today, right? E-commerce, right? Of an actual product, right? If you're going to go to market tomorrow, what would you say, hottest tactics would be?
Yeah. So without giving a boring answer of Facebook ads, because that is the answer. You really have to do everything you can to kind of put yourself out there and differentiate yourself from whatever a similar product is or whatever makes you stand out in that market. So you mentioned elevator pitch before. I went on that show with basically no clothes on. I'll do anything I can to get attention.
Now it's making sense. I looked at your Instagram handle.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you really have to put yourself out there, do what's best for the brand, not what's best for you. That can definitely be an embarrassing moment. But I'm willing to sacrifice a little for the greater good. Whatever I can do to get eyeballs on me, that's the game. I
think we just saw that with the Oscars, right? John Cena is getting so much heat with what he did, obviously scooting over naked, with the announcement of who was going to be the winner. But what you were talking about is being on a show, everyone will see that and like, okay, this individual came in without a shirt on, right? No one's ever done that before.
Yeah, it makes you stand out.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the most important thing with marketing is, yeah, you can run a ton of ads, but if it's something boring, it's something everyone's seen before, you're doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, it's not really going to make you stand out a ton.
So go dive deeper into this subject, because almost 99% of people fail at Facebook ads, including myself. I've tried them, and I look at brands like yours, others that have been in the shrimp tank. Obviously, I'm in the service world; it's a little different than a product, but I failed, and most people you speak to have failed, right? And they're like, "What the hell?" Like, I speak to all these people that are successful, and then what ends up happening typically is they hire, an ad agency, and the ad agency charges them so much money, and then they fail, right? And then they get even more frustrated, and the ad agency like, "Look, it worked, but there's not a margin then if they hire the agency, because maybe a product costs $1, and there's 30% profit in that, but then all 30% is going to the agency."
Yep.
Right. So kind of dive deeper, like, what is the secret? Is it just A/B testing, doing it yourself?
Yeah, it's
obviously what you just said, like really doing something that catches someone's attention.
Yeah, so it's a lot of testing. So we test 8 different styles of the same creative every week. So that's brand new creative that we're filming on a weekly basis. So we have an in-house videographer and a creative team. They have to shoot 8 completely different ads every single week. And those are things that are being tested, in each of those 8 creatives are probably split up into 10 different versions of that creative. Some are horizontal, some are vertical, some have a different ending. So we will test a ridiculous amount. So at any given time, we're probably testing, almost 100 different creatives to see what hits and what doesn't.
And these are people shown using the product?
It could be people shown using the product. It could be UGC, which is user generated content, maybe a customer filming themselves using it. It could be, something that doesn't even show the product. So like right now, a crazy thing that people are doing is they're showing like video game not screenshots, but recording themselves playing video games and then just talking about a product, and those are working, which is wild to me. I don't play video games, I don't get it, but it works. So there's all kinds of crazy tactics that you can try, and we'll test that same video game thing 6 different ways.
So where did you come up with the marketing knowledge that you're using now? It's relatively recent, isn't it?
Yeah, I stay up to date on all the different trends, and I have a lot of friends who run Facebook ads. I work with a ton of different agencies who are willing to share some information. I'm part of a ton of different online forums and groups, and some paid, some free. So I just try to educate myself as much as possible in the ad world, because that is what brings in all our revenue.
So variation of your pitch is hot. This is what you're kind of saying, that you don't want to run the same slogan, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sometimes you'll get an ad that works for a year or 2 years, and that's great. But eventually it's going to run out.
And how do you connect the ad to the sale? How do you know you're not wasting your money?
I mean, with all the analytics that are out there now, it's very clear. You can see different conversion rates from different ads, so you know right away what's working and what's not.
I'm not totally ignorant about that area.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is you have to be self-taught and do it in-house. That's what's coming through my mind when you're saying this, because so often everyone wants to be lazy and hire a third party and watch their sales skyrocket, and they lose control of their marketing, because they most people who run successful brands, they need to control the marketing aspect. And what I'm hearing is you had a lot of failures, and then you figured it out on your own, and you read a lot about it on blogs. You talked to other people that were in similar spaces and asked for advice. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think you have to know your strengths. If that doesn't interest you, hire someone, and hopefully it interests them, and they can go as hard as they need to figure that out. If you don't have interest in it, it's going to be very hard for you to succeed. I love marketing. I love trying different things. And I think the biggest thing is, like I said, I talk to a ton of people. So making as many connections as you can, picking as many brains as you can, is going to get you the furthest. You just got to make really good relationships.
What about other channels like TikTok, right? You see more and more brands going down that lane. And actually, I'm a big fan of TikTok. I love going on there right before I go to bed. I don't watch TV anymore. And now I'm seeing like 1 out of every 4 or 5 is an ad, right? So have you dove deep into TikTok right now?
Yeah. We have not been able to crack the code on TikTok just yet. It's a completely new world, even for me. Like, I'm young, but I'm not that young.
Yeah.
So it's really challenging. And even the things that aren't sponsored posts can typically be an ad. So there's tons of influencers that are pushing all kinds of stuff, and there's so many deals you can make. And now with TikTok Shop, there's a ton of ways to make money on TikTok. So I think there is huge potential there.
I hate the TikTok Shop though. I tried it. Not a fan. Not Amazon.
Yeah,
Just like
there's some
products
bugs to
got
work
there
out.
like 2-3 weeks later, I couldn't figure out where the order was, and it didn't seem user friendly, and they might fail. Right?
It's not there yet, but
Instagram tried that and they failed trying to do too much. So
the concept is solid, but the execution is a little short.
yes, I agree.
When you started Black Market Share, these are people coming to you, but how do they find out about you? And what percentage of the revenue is made up by that part of the business?
So the revenue numbers I gave were just for rescue. That has
Okay.
nothing to do with Black Market Share. Black Market Share is very B2B. So completely different service base. It's not a product. And we're not dealing directly with customers. So our customers are
being the businesses.
Yeah, our customers are business owners.
Right.
So these are people who have the same problem that we had within the first year of launching Rescue. We had all these people making fake grill brushes. So our clients are other people who have launched businesses, who have had a lot of success, and who also have tons of knockoffs coming out of China.
How do you market to them? How do
It's-
you do marketing?
So there's so Google ads are a great way.
Okay.
Again, I have a pretty big network of entrepreneurs that have launched businesses in all these forms. So it's pretty easy to get in contact with a lot of people. But I also have a team of salespeople who are constantly going through Google, finding who has a problem and reaching out directly to them. So we have a team of salespeople who are literally cold calling and saying, "Hey, I saw you had this problem. Let's help you."
What is the next hot product for the scrub brush, grill brush, or whatever industry that you're operating in?
So our next product, our biggest one right now is the kitchen sponge. That's really what all of our focus is on. We have some products in the works that we're launching soon that I can't really talk too much about. But
Somebody
yeah,
will knock them off. Right?
yeah, they will. I'm waiting for the sponge knockoff. I'm sure it's coming soon.
But you have some IP protection on that.
Yeah, so that one's a little bit tougher. So the sponge, there's two different types of patents, right? You have a utility patent and a design patent. Utility is nothing new; it's a sponge. So you're using it to clean something. You can't protect that. As far as design, it's a sponge. It's shaped like a sponge. It looks like a sponge. So again, nothing patentable there. So that one's a really tough one. You can't really get IP on a kitchen sponge.
You just have to come up with a nice fancy name, trademark it.
Yep. So this is Forever Sponge,
How did
which
you
is
get educated in that? I'm kind of curious. How did you get educated in the patent world?
so Scott, coming from the
Oh.
product design world, he knew a little bit, but after paying upwards of $800 an hour for fancy lawyers, you really try to learn as much as you can so you don't have to keep paying them.
I see.
So
So
again,
you were-
tons of research.
So you were investing in lawyers for a while.
Oh yeah, and now we're looking at opening our own law firm with Black Market Share. There's a ton of stuff happening under the hood there. That's pretty exciting.
So I got to jump in here because often we see entrepreneurs trying to do too much, right? And what I hear right now is like, you're so successful, and a lot of people say, why is he going out of his lane? Right? Your lane is $21 million of revenue. You crack the code, right? There's a huge market international, right? Why not because we only have so much time in a day, right? Until we could train someone. And we all know from a lot of our past business owners that have come on the show, it's like so hard to find talent, right? So they have the ability to grow, but just hiring, it's a struggle, right? Finding talent and then dealing with layoffs, firing, and cycles in business. So why not just stay in the lane? What's your answer on that one?
The why not is tough. I think just my drive. I just can't control it. I like new. I like doing new things. But that doesn't mean that I don't give attention to the current businesses, but I do hire people to give the attention to the current businesses so I can focus on other things. So it took a while to figure this out, but now I've kind of have a system dialed in where I can have a GM of this business, a GM of that business, and kind of trickle it down to them building everything that needs to happen. I can implement new ideas. They execute on them.
And is Black Market Share profitable
Yes.
currently? So and how long has that business been out?
So that one is coming up on 2 years.
Okay.
The first probably year and 6 months was very slow because again, I had other projects I was focusing on. Yeah. And I had to build up the team. So now we're at a point where we can grow rapidly.
Yeah, that one's a great one. My buddy, I went to University of Delaware, created the Mighty Mug, and I remember him going to Congress and saying, this is bullshit. He's like, I'm making this mug, I'm selling it, everywhere, $10, $20, through my website and Amazon. And you have people knocking it off and you're giving them a discount to get it to the United States. So he's like, I can't compete. My shipping cost is $8.99, right? They're selling the product for $4.99.
Yep.
He's like, you're giving them a discount, based on, the way our United States, tariffs work and everything. And he just like, he couldn't believe. And then everyone was knocking him off. He couldn't shut them down. And I remember him just talking about hiring a company like yours. Maybe he's a client, not sure. But then he just figured it out because half his day was, just trying to fight off, all these, fakes out there. And it's really frustrating as a business owner. You finally see success and then you see someone copy your product and you can't talk to them,
Yep.
Likely they're in China, right? And you're just like, what am I going to do? And everyone, is on Amazon, giving 5-star reviews. They don't care. They got the product and it worked very similar. And let's be honest, a lot of the knockoffs,
They could come from the same factory.
they can, and they're quite close, right? Look at Stanley Cup right now. Now they've done a great job branding, so they have less to worry about, right? Because people are really paying for Stanley Cup because of the brand, not because there isn't a competitor, that does the same thing. We know that, right? So, but it's interesting, that is a great model. And I saw it from him, how frustrating it could be. But how do you deal with the brands that they can't overcome the cost? Because there's you had a lot of profit. You cracked the code early on. A lot of brands can't, right? They're just surviving off X amount of revenue. And then these brands, so how do you give them advice, right? And is there a way to kind of help them? Because that they could become profitable. They can't afford the $800 attorneys and they can't afford your services, let's say.
Yeah, it's a full-time job just trying to deal with the knockoffs.
Yep.
So, we want them to succeed. We're happy to give as much advice as we can, but at the end of the day, we'll give you the tools to do it, but you have to have the manpower to do it yourself. We have a full team behind us that are helping with all these knockoffs, but there's no blanket submit this form and they all go down. It's just not that easy.
No, it's true. Because when you get one down, then another one pops up.
Yep.
It's never ending.
And it's usually the same guy.
And I'm assuming all these third-party websites, like you can see an ad on Facebook and say, hey, that's a fake product.
Sure.
And like it takes them, X amount of time to review. Then Amazon, X amount of time to review. And now a lot of people are getting really smart with Amazon. You get a product and they're like, I'll give you $10 back, leave a 5-star review.
Yeah, which you're not allowed to do also.
And then all of a sudden it's like the costs are reduced for the first 100.
Yep.
And you get in there and I'm like, okay, this is a no-brainer. I was like, this one is half the price. It's got 5 stars, right? And then I find out why when I get that email or card in the mail says, one other one for free.
Yeah.
Leave 5-star review. And they're not going to leave a 3-star. We're like, sure, I'll leave 5-star for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You're absolutely right. The knockoff problem is absolutely insane. Amazon alone, it's crazy because they can only fight so much, Yep. You can submit the forms, but eventually Amazon is going to wash their hands of you. Like this guy's just complaining to complain.
This is where it's so hard with TikTok Shop too. It's like everyone's then pushing the envelope to get commissions. So you have, these creators, which were originally on there to entertain myself, right? I just want to go on there and watch 15 minutes before going to bed and be entertained. And now they're telling me, about this treadmill, how it's the best thing ever. And it's not the best thing ever, right? So now it's like, who do I believe, right?
Yeah, trust factor
Amazon,
is huge.
And we saw this with Yelp. We where we're like, okay, this one has a 4.7 score review. I'm like, but it's the worst pizza ever. I'm like, who the hell's leaving these reviews? So I hate that our society is kind of turning into like, it goes from good to kind of like bad, then the ugly over time because of the greed with money and how people crack the code with some of these metrics, unfortunately.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, reviews are everything now. If your business doesn't have a shitload of 5 stars reviews, you're not going to make it.
Well, I think this is one reason why you want to come back into these local businesses where you can see the person face to face. There's a trust factor there. You comparing going to a car dealership versus your mechanic, and the one I know about too. And Jason also has another one that in Delray. And so,
Orange Auto. Yeah, they were on the show.
Yeah. So that I think, if you can, this is not replacing that part of the economy, but it's another thing that would make somebody feel better, I think, to actually have that face-to-face interaction.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens in the next decade, because I think we've gone so far away from human to human interaction. And I think history always cycles. So I'm curious to see if we go back to, oh, I just want to know the person selling it. I just want to. So I think that's big right now. Kind of talking about a lot of ads. We'll actually do a lot of like founder ads. Who am I? Who is Scott? My partner's a firefighter. He's still a full-time firefighter. So like local hero type ads. And it's like, you should know who we are. We're not just selling you a product and that's kind of the end of the story. So there's a lot of like, selling yourself and getting to know the person behind the product, which, like you said, for local business is everything. So I'm inclined to
I
think,
like what you're doing too. And that sounds very good
yeah.
to deal with some of the issues we're just talking about.
Yeah, but I think we will, as a society, go back to wanting to have a deeper human connection rather than the fast-paced TikTok buy the thing from China. So I think, like you said, it's gonna get worse before it gets
Everything
better.
goes in cycles.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I built the owl out. Right. I kind of saw the writing in the world where like we're missing, rich relationships and connecting with individuals and not just reading, their LinkedIn profile, seeing their follower count and making a judgment.
Yep.
Right. Often, and I talk about this all the time. Often there's people like yourself, which you do not have a big Instagram following. You do not have a big LinkedIn following. Right. But look at the impact that you're making to so many people. Yeah, the people that work with you locally, right? And then the people that you're helping, with the counterfeit products and all your customers. And lots of times people just judge you right off the bat. You don't get invited to a gazillion podcasts based on your social metrics.
For sure. Yeah.
You'll get invited after they like meet you and then find out that like, oh wait, he's doing 21 million of revenue. I want to invite him on now. Right. So that's the interesting part. It's just like the human connection is missing so much with the TikTok group in general. And, I think that we're going to see a shift. Right. And I went so into that shift, they built a whole platform around it. So it's going to be interesting next 10 years, of course. We're going to take a quick commercial break here from one of our sponsors. When we get back, we're going to jump to our Plead, the fifth segment of the show.
Step into our state-of-the-art innovation lab and create your digital future. Oz uses cutting-edge technology and 22 years of industry knowledge to enhance customer experience through digital innovation in a variety of expertise. Oz is a leading global consulting company whose services and solutions are trusted by startup, midsize, and even Fortune 500 companies. Get to know more about Oz's Salus, a mobile solution bringing us back to max capacity, and their latest solution, Rainmaker, saving insurance companies years of work. To learn more about Oz and their exciting technologies, visit followoz.com. That's FOLLOWOZ.com.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Shrimp Tank. If this is your first time tuning in, remember you catch all these episodes live every single Wednesday right around 1 o'clock. We stream it on my LinkedIn account, Jason R. Hill, as well as the FU Adams Center page on Facebook, as well as our Instagram account at Shrimp Tank Boca. So, Anthony, on this segment of the show, it is called Plead the Fifth. Okay, so we're going to ask you some difficult questions now. Earlier part of the show was more about your background as an entrepreneur, but now we have a little bit of fun, right? You can't plead the fifth more than 2 times or more than 2 times, and then you can't air it. You can't even come back to FAU again if he does 2 times.
Right.
But you can only plead the fifth just 1 time, Roland saying. I go for some hardball sometimes, and people have to plead the fifth like 3-4 times, and then we can't air your show. You can't come back to FAU, unfortunately. But the real rules are you can only plead the fifth 1 time. Okay, so I guess my first question, let's talk a little bit about the Scrub Daddy for a second, right? Obviously, if you're inventing a problem, you're pretty pissed off. Tell us exactly, why you're so upset, what they're doing right now, and I guess how you're fighting them, and it's just not working. So you're saying, screw it, I'm going to invent a product to go, right up against, one of the biggest brands, obviously in that space.
Yeah. So I'll be careful with what I say, but I won't plead the fifth. Scrub Daddy out of nowhere decided to make a grill brush that looks very similar to ours. Works almost identical to ours. However, they did a very good job getting around our patent. I will say that. But obviously they stole our idea, and they had an influencer post something to like really get that thing out there, and we left a comment, something very simple about like stealing our idea. I don't remember exactly what it was. Something clever, and they immediately send us a cease and desist. So I was like, you know what? We can play this game too.
You're like, now I got some revenue and some lawyers.
Yeah.
You wanna fight with us? We'll fight back.
Yep.
Right. Often we see this with Apple, right? Apple messed around for a long time with that 30% fee and played hardball with a lot of brands. And
Mhm.
eventually, one brand won, right? And now a lot of brands are going back after Apple, right? Apple isn't doing as well because of a lot of that stuff right now. Because people are sick of the 30% fee in the App Store and how it's a monopoly. Like you can't go to many other
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm not using Apple devices. Like everyone uses, 3/4 of people use Apple devices in the US.
Didn't they just have a big judgment against them in Europe?
Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah.
doing that.
Well, same thing with the wires at the bottom. That's why
Yeah.
I've been 15 now. No more like playing games with the different wires, right? Let's be uniform. Let's all use the same wires.
Yeah.
We don't have to buy a new one every 2 years and
Yeah.
playing with the ports, right?
Yep.
And it gets really annoying.
Who was the investor in Scrub Daddy from the Shark Tank? Do you remember?
I assume it was Lori, since she does a lot of QVC
Oh,
stuff.
is that where they got big?
I could be wrong, but I believe that was it.
Okay. You have any choice words for her?
Lori? No, I think I think she's great. No, I think all the panelists on Shark Tank are great.
I should watch that more. I stopped watching it a few years ago. Let me ask you about Scott, your partner.
Yep.
He's probably watching this, or he's probably going to tune into it. What is the thing about Scott that annoys you the most?
So it's the thing that annoys me the most is also the thing I respect about him the most. He doesn't need to be a firefighter, right? He is still a full-time firefighter for the love of the game. This guy loves running into burning buildings and saving people, which is great. I really respect him for it because he's doing a really good thing. And we donate a ton of money to first responders and their families in need. However, he's a full-time firefighter.
He's a little busy.
So he's a little busy, So if there is a time that I absolutely need something from him and he's at the fire department or he's inside of a burning building, you could imagine it's hard to get in touch with him.
Yeah, and you don't want to do a false alarm to get him over to your house, right?
Yeah, right?
So what about when you were marketing and he was product? Did you ever have a tension, when like, come on, Scott, you said you were going to do this.
So we have a battle back and forth on he will try to overstock us with inventory and I will try to oversell us on inventory. So there's always this constant tug of war game going where he wants to order more. So I have to be forced to sell it and I'll sell more. So he's forced to make it, which is a good dynamic.
Okay. Because before
it
wasn't being made fast enough.
Yeah.
Did you have a situation where you thought maybe we were going to break up or this was not going to work because he didn't get the product for you?
No. I mean, I know it was my fault. It wasn't his fault.
You did such a good job.
I sold. Yeah, I'm too good at what I do. I know that I oversold the product and I could have put a stop to the website, not sold wherever. But then you lose a ton of momentum. And if you have something that's working, you don't really want to stop it. So instead of stop selling, I put a ton of pressure on Scott.
It worked.
Yeah.
Did you guys self-invest? Did you raise capital?
Scott and I each invested $1,500 and we've never taken any other capital outside of that.
Have you tried in the past at one point to accelerate or no?
No, I don't think we needed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got to go down a path of
Yeah, no, I mean,
a lot of people try to raise capital and people are quite mean. So is there a mean person out there that you want to call out or plead the fifth to that said, look, your company's not investable, right? You get that when you're early on and they tell you every reason why. And, of course, you prove them wrong, right? You did it without raising capital, but, I see that with Owl all the time, right? I see it before it launched. Now that we're further along, and a lot of times they would never invest anyways, and it's not their sector.
Yeah.
Was there anything like that ever hit that people were just,
Not really. No, we never even tried to get outside capital. We don't want to give up any equity. We like
you
the
guys
thing we have. I've just always been weary about the raising money game because then you can't stop raising money a lot of times and you just keep diluting and keep giving it away. Obviously, that might come with a larger salary. That might come with a lot of like a huge company with tons of employees. But I'm not sure if that's the game I'm trying to play.
So you had to hire some people. Have you had to fire any?
I love to fire people.
Do you?
I do.
Well, tell us about the most egregious example that you can think of that, and put the person's name in there too. That'd be good. Maybe you'll plead the fifth on that.
We got them.
Yeah, that's a tough. I have two that I'm thinking of. I'm not going to say their name. I can tell you one of them. I to this day am not entirely sure what happened, but we asked this employee to do something. And I think that was just like the tipping point for them. They just left for the day. And then in a group text with Scott and myself and this person, they just unloaded, the last year of whatever problems they had, cursing us out. We're the worst people in the world. The next day, another employee let them into the office to get their stuff, which turned out that most of their stuff was not their stuff. It was our stuff. Had to have the cops come, had to have them, depose the whole thing to like see what was theirs and what was ours and try to figure it out. So 2 employees ended up getting fired that day. It was a huge shit show.
Okay, so basically, though, you're pleading the fifth on their names.
I will plead the fifth on their names.
Okay, that's good. Then Jason will have a hard question for you, I guess. So why do you love to fire people, though?
Why do I love to fire?
You love to fire people. What is
Hey,
it?
you did say that.
I did say that. So I
Because most people are like, I don't want to.
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
They could have family and children and be,
Right. They could be
on
Bob
a
Cratchit,
monthly salary and then come home one day.
Yeah,
like,
I might be a little biased. I like to think that our work environment is the best. We have a ton of fun. Scott likes to say it's like, a frat house, like the fire department. It's just the boys, for the most part. And we fuck around a lot, but we also get stuff done. And
play hard. Gotcha.
yeah, exactly. So I hire slow and I put them through a ton of tests, way more things that anyone should do before they're getting paid. But if it's time to go, it's time to go. And everyone's adults. It's as simple as, this isn't working out. I know this isn't working out. We're just going to end it here.
Why is it time to go most often?
I don't know if they just don't love it anymore, and you can just tell. But they're just not getting the things that they need to do done, because we do ask a lot of our employees. We ask them to work really hard, but we also pay really well and have a ton of fun. So I feel like it's justified.
You've been in 4 years, 5 years. How many employees have you had to fire?
I couldn't even count.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, most people, they have a great resume. They come in highly rated, everything. You can usually tell within the first month, this is not what I signed up for.
Okay. So usually
People oversell themselves.
It's very early.
It's usually pretty early. Yeah. People will either last a long time or a month.
And you only hire boys?
I don't. No, I don't only hire. We've had tons of women
Okay.
work for us, and truthfully, they've been far better than the guys.
Okay. I heard you talked about the boys, but okay.
Yeah, I've only had to fire probably 1 or 2 women.
Okay.
The others just want a different career. We grill, and it's not a female heavy audience for most of the year unless they're gifting. So I'm not sure it's super interesting to a lot of women to want to work there. So I understand that.
Their product.
Because of the focus of the company is very male oriented.
So you have a lot of cookouts and things.
We do, yeah. We grill pretty often. We do a lot of video at the office outside. So a lot of the ads that we shoot is grilling content. But yeah, honestly, the women we should probably be female only, because they've been far better than the guys that we hire.
I would agree with you. People who have worked for my brands, the females have crushed it.
Yeah.
Including our producer over here, who has done an excellent job for the last few years. He's been with us for 6 years.
Nice.
So a lot of credit to Stephanie. I don't think we're going to get him to plead the fifth.
You already did.
More than one time.
Oh,
so
no,
I guess we're going to have to leave this show up on
Okay,
the
what
air.
is the
Roll letting you get out of this? Look at this. Actually.
Nah, I don't know. I don't want to get into, types of grilling and things like this, because I'm way out of my league there. So I'll just leave it at that. I think it's very interesting what you're attempting to do with the businesses, in the next step, the Tranchida Inc. Is that
Tranchida? Yeah.
Tranchida. Okay. Jason wouldn't even try to pronounce your name.
I didn't try.
No, he did.
why I skipped over it
Tranchida.
earlier.
Okay. Anthony Tranchida. Well, that was great.
I know my weaknesses.
And
I know my strengths.
I think I'll be looking at your website pretty soon.
Thank you.
Okay. You said you would never want to give up equity, correct?
I said I don't plan on it.
Okay.
Doesn't mean I won't.
What if your favorite music artist, because I have it listed here.
Yep.
And you can tell our audience who that is, said, hey, I love your product, but I want 75% of it. What do you do? Because you can't then have control, but that's going to blow up. Because why don't you tell our audience who that is?
I would tell Taylor Swift that we can be best friends.
Wow. So she could not be owner of this company, because your sales would be $1 billion then, right?
It could be.
If you had Taylor representing your company, the sales would get to $1 billion with no problem.
Yeah, I don't know how.
25% of a billion is 250 million for audience.
Pretty nice.
To know, right?
Yeah.
Every year and probably growing, right? Because it'll probably be billions one day.
Yeah, I
She
think she,
doesn't represent many companies.
no, I think she would probably do a far better job at everything than I would.
Okay.
But I don't think it's about that.
I like that answer.
I'll have to reevaluate my opinion of you based on that answer. But
Oh, the last 60 minutes. I was going to have to go back and listen to it all now. Anthony, thanks for joining us here on the Shrimp Tank today. For audience listening, if they want to buy your product, what is the best route to do so?
Grillrescue.com. GRILL rescue.com.
Okay, everyone listening, we'll be back next Wednesday around 1 p.m. Take care.
Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the